Have you ever thought you were caught up on everything you needed to do on your property, and then just a few days go by and you find out you're not as caught up as you thought you were? Well, that's where we're at today. We were all mowed up. We were basically doing maintenance on the property and starting to work towards our house build. And we got a huge storm and dumped inches and inches of rain, so much so that our pond at Piney Grove went from 4 foot to 8 foot. And it also washed out our driveway a little bit, which it only does like once or twice a year. So I got to do a more permanent fix on that. But this morning I woke up and thought about all the things I needed to do. So I worked on that driveway and got that patched up in 2 different places, and basically reclaiming all of the millings gravel that was in the grass, bringing it back on the driveway and then grading it with the bucket on the tractor. And then our new pole barn, because all of our land is on a slope, our new pole barn actually collects water on one corner, because I just need to divert some water when we get big rainfalls like that. So I dug a trench around the pole barn this morning so that water will hit that trench and go around it. Now I am on to the big project of the day, and it's kind of a bittersweet project because as I walk across this pasture behind me, all this was all wooded when we bought it 6 years ago, and we had it cleared. That area there where our house is going to be, just that little area, not that whole opening, but just that little area was all that was cleared on this property. And the people that owned it before us just used it as a hunting property, so they had a food plot there. So when we cleared this all and knocked down the pine trees, and they were planted pine trees, so we didn't come into a old growth forest and knock down, you know, a whole bunch of 100-year oaks or anything. But once we got the property cleared and started planting the pastures, we would come here and just like monitor the progress of the bulldozers from under the cedar tree that I have to cut down today. So there's the cedar tree, and you can see it's not very healthy. We have a real healthy cedar tree over there. That's what it should look like. But for some reason, this one has died and we need to remove it. So I'm gonna start on that today. And I think maybe the reason that it started dying was when we had this bulldoze where our house is gonna be. I told him to come up here by the cedar tree and kind of level it. And I think the bulldozer cut in on the roots there on the right side of the tree. And maybe that damaged it, or maybe it's just naturally dying on its own. But another problem with this tree is it's directly in line with the well house that's in front of me and our house that's gonna be behind me. And I got to trench in the lines here. So the water will come out underneath this well. I've got a pipe already in the concrete, and it'll go across here and service the house. And this tree is right in the way. You can see from this angle as well that it's pretty well dead. So that's what we have in store for you today. Like any project, it's taken me probably an hour just to get ready. And what I'm not gonna do is drop the tree entirely because I can't get to all of it today. So I'm just gonna use the ladders, knock off these limbs as far as I think I can get done today, and then chip it up and keep the cedar chips and let them dry out, and then use them for bedding for our animals later. And our tools today will be the Summit TX25 with the HISUN Sector 750 towing the Summit dump trailer, and the Woodmaxx 8600 wood chipper, and of course everyone's favorite, a steel chainsaw. Now we are not sponsored by Woodmaxx, but we're definitely impressed with their chipper, and we see a lot of YouTube channels out there that are using different model chippers, and they all struggle with the infeed, whether they have a gravity infeed or if they have a hydraulic infeed. And this Woodmaxx really is superior to anything I've seen out there. Now I would like to get my hands on a Woodlands mill with the hydraulic infeed for comparison, but so far from what I've seen, Woodmaxx makes the best wood chipper, PTO wood chipper for a compact tractor. But the reason that I say this is bittersweet is because Deb and I used to sit under this cedar tree and on the tailgate of my pickup and eat our lunch and just sit here and look at the property and imagine the possibilities. We had no other buildings, we didn't have running water, electricity, or anything. So this is where we'd come and catch a little break from the sun and just kind of think about what we're doing to the property in the future. And unfortunately today, we got to cut this tree down. Enough sappy stuff. Let's get to work.
So I came out here to see if I could help, and this needs to go. We know it needs to go, but it's bittersweet. Brad's probably told you that before anything was done out here, we used to come out here and sit under this tree. We'd back the truck up and sit on the tailgate and eat lunch and dream about what we're doing, and I'm gonna get a little emotional. It's so silly, the things that will maybe hit you, right?
It's part of like the 6-year journey that we're on. So
Yeah.
when I walked up here and started cutting it, that's what I started thinking about, was how we used to pull up under it with the truck, and we'd have our little cooler like we always do, and we'd have our lunch and just kind of dream about and think about what we were going to do. And although cutting down this tree isn't exactly, you know, it's not what we wanted to do,
Right.
it's all part of progress.
I know, and it is. And like I said, I know it has to go. It's sick and it needs to go, but this is going to be the tree we're going to continue to watch grow. I can't believe I got emotional over a tree. It won't be in vain. We'll do something with the wood, right? It's a beautiful tree. We'll do something. We'll honor her somehow. She will produce tables or something cool that we'll show you later on. So we'll get back to taking down the tree and being a little bit sad about it.
Guys, here's my concern, is that we're going to have animals out here on the property. Sometimes things don't go well with them, so imagine if we're a puddle now over a tree, imagine how we're going to be with animals.
Oh, yikes.
Getting back to the tree cutting, at the very end I pinched the bar and it actually pulled the chain off. So I've got to go put that on real quick. But I've got 4 or 5 limbs down. I'm trying to cut them as close as I can to the trunk, because like Deb mentioned, we're actually going to mill this. We have an Alaskan sawmill, and if you don't know what that is, you clamp your chainsaw to it and you can mill lumber. And we've done that with a few, actually some big logs. We did that with some pecan logs, and we've got them drying in our shed, and we're actually going to use them to make a table out of, a work table out of, in our mega shed going forward. But the big thing about a chipper, like I opened with, is the infeed. And if you don't get these limbs where they can come in without hitting a fork in the limb, then even the best chipper is going to stop your limbs, especially if that forked limb is, say, an inch or so. So I've tried to go through all of this cedar that I'm going to chip up and cut off all of those forks so that when I crank up the tractor, I can just go to chipping. And another thing about the chips, we're going to put them in the Summit trailer, but we're not going to dump them out in the weather. We have these big white bags that you get like fertilizer or dirt in, and once they dry in the trailer, we're going to transfer them to those bags so that we can have cured cedar chips going forward. Let me crank up the Summit. I think I've got plenty to chip for right now. After all that bragging about this wood chipper, it actually got jammed up, and what happens is, here's the infeed coming from this direction, and I put a cutoff in there and it got twisted, and it's blocking the infeed and won't let the new boards or the new logs go against the blade. And I've never actually had this happen before, but that piece of wood is jammed in there. There it is. I think I can get it with this pry bar. But it's right in there, and it's sideways. And when the infeed pushes against the blade, and here's the blade right here. There's 3 or 4 blades. It got stuck in there because it was coming straight, and then it turned sideways like that and blocked that chute. And a lot of times you can take another log and push through there and it'll clear it, but I couldn't do that. So I had to take it apart, but it's easy to take apart. It's just 1 bolt right there. And then you can hinge that whole chute mechanism and the top of the flywheel right out of the way. We'll put it back on. I'm pretty sure it's cleared. I just knocked it backwards where it was loose. And I'll put that 1 bolt in, and we'll be back in business. But I've had to do this a couple times where this has got jammed with little stuff. I do a lot of chipping of decayed logs, and they have a lot of, pieces of rotten wood and dirt or whatever. So I've had to clear it like that before, where I actually crank up the PTO on the tractor. I make sure that I'm out of the way so that nothing could ever hit me. But I've cleared it a few times that way. This is the first time where the intake of the infeed has been blocked. And I bought this thing with 23 hours on it. I think it has 119 now. That's a pretty good track record of not blocking the infeed. And that's probably my own fault for putting that cutoff through there, because when you put a cutoff, it doesn't have a stem sticking out of it so that the feed can push it through properly. I think we're back in business. Miss Piney Grove says she wants a shot at the chipping title. So we got her some glasses, some gloves. What's that? Speak to my mic.
I said, I don't know about any title, but I'd like to do it. I think it's so super cool.
Our blades are getting dull from all the dirty wood we chip up. So that's why the chips aren't as small as I'd like them to be. But it's still doing a good job with these big pieces of cedar. Sometimes you gotta bend them.
And God knows that I'm all about it. We're up high, never coming down, baby, just you and I. For the rest of our lives, yes, you and me were meant to be. For the rest of our lives, drop your guard and take a ride with me, 'cause you got what I want, oh, and I got what you need. For the rest of our lives, it's gonna be a done deal, just wait and see. I've known it since I met you. This love, it was a breakthrough. For the rest of our days, we'll be everything we want to be. For the rest of our lives.
I was glad you showed up. That went pretty quick, didn't it?
It was so fast. I can't even believe how fast it was, and fun. Did you happen to see?
Oh no, here we go.
He tells me I can do it, right? And did you happen
And this
to see?
concludes our video today, folks.
Because he said I could do it, then he came and he kept taking my turns.
I was trying to help you with the bigger ones.
No, that was nice. He's a gentleman. He was helping with the bigger ones. Well, then he would take my turn. He'd do like 2 in a row. We had a rhythm. I'd do one, he'd do one. And then apparently I'm slow, or he's impatient, or he just wanted to have more fun because you took my turn.
So what she was doing was, when she was loading them in there, she would wait for them to completely clear, and you don't have to do that. Like once you get the stem going on them long straight ones, you can get some more stems going and just constantly keep that thing chopping. Now we did get jammed up one time, and what happens is if your long stem is, it doesn't matter if it's got a little crook to it, but if it's a Y and you cut part of that Y doesn't want to bend, if that makes any sense. So it gets in there, and it almost gets in there and gets crossed like an L shape. Mm-hmm. and then it just won't feed it through, and then you got to back it out. But we didn't jam it up where we stalled the tractor. We didn't stall the tractor. And on those big ones, I guess they were 4 inches in diameter or so. We didn't slow it down. We just had the thing pulled all the way.
Yeah, it was quick.
Now I mentioned before you came out that we really enjoy having this chipper, and that some of our friends, our online social media friends that do homesteading and tractor videos like us, said you won't like a wood chipper.
Brock, we won't say names, Brock.
We won't say any names, Brock, Lucas, etc. But what do you think about it? I mean, you had no expectations coming in, and now we've been chipping for well over 100 hours on this thing. What do you think about having a wood chipper, and like what it's done just for this job right here to clean up around this tree?
I think when he first got it, I honestly thought, okay, this is going to be fun for him and kind of a toy, but it's coming so handy. And as you've seen, if you watch our videos, we're using all of these wood chips to the point that we're running out of wood chips. that the fact that we have a whole nother dump trailer full again is good, because we already have projects lined up. So if you have a property with a lot of trees, it's probably a good investment at least to check into, or consider renting one. But we would have spent more money probably on renting one than we did when we bought this used off Facebook.
So you mentioned we need wood chips somewhere. You want me to drive them over there, or are you going to?
Okay. I got it. Y'all be kind.
She loves driving this thing around, but that's going to wrap up today's video. Until next time, y'all take care out there. And remember, life's short.
Be kind.
And tractor hard.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
All the rest of our lives.